Okay guys, so what I want to talk to you today about is the actual bike itself. I know I've done 5 things I hate about the bike, but let's just do like a quick overview for those who are thinking about purchasing one of these bikes, brand new, as if it was a stock bike. And so you just get a rough idea from someone that owns one what it's all about. So yeah, if you're looking to buy one of these things, first off you should really think about the riding position and seat position. So it's quite a low seat. I'm 5'8", and to be honest, it's very comfortable for me. My knees are both bent and my feet are both planted firmly on the ground. If you are taller than me, say above 6 foot, this bike is going to be very cramped for you with the stock mid controls. You know, my knees are very bent now, and even for me on long journeys it does get quite uncomfortable. My lower back and my legs really do need to be stretched out a lot. I know you can get forward controls for these things, and that's definitely an option for you guys with the longer legs. But yeah, it is a low bike. I've got a friend that's 6'6", and he sat on this thing and it just looked like a kid's bike. His legs were so far forward, it was unreal. It did not suit him at all. So that's something to consider, guys. Handlebars wise, they come with 12-inch mini apes, and they are very comfortable. Again, for me at 5'8", 5'9", they were just about right. Again, if you're a taller bloke, you're probably gonna want to upgrade those bars pretty quickly so that they're more sort of, if you're into that kind of ape hanger look anyway, so they're higher, you know. Either get some real big tall ape hangers or get some nice risers or something like that, you know. But they sit sort of shoulder height for me, I guess, at say, you know, 5'8", 5'9", and again, very comfortable position for me. And I would class myself as a sort of below average to average sort of size bloke, you know. I did change them, as you can see, but they're pretty much in the same position. And yeah, you're very sat upright, and it is a comfortable position for around town and all that, but on longer journeys your back is going to start to hurt. If we talk about the seat, while we're on the subject of seating position, the seat, quite frankly, I mean, it does its job. It is comfortable enough, but it doesn't hold you in at all. I mean, it's better than sitting on the frame, but if there's so much torque in this bike, you pull away too fast and you're straight off the back. So that's an upgrade you're going to have to really think about, because you know, it isn't comfortable enough for long journeys. And if you're into slamming the throttle and the clutch, you're going straight off the back. So yeah, you know, have a look out there for different upgrades for that, because you are going to be changing it. I promise you that. If we move on to the tank size, you can get about 180 out of the tank, full tank, 180 miles. But I've yet to get that. I would say with my sort of style or type of riding, I'm hitting about 150, and I think that's a more realistic sort of number. You know, you're not going to be a granddad on this bike. It's not that kind of bike. It's all about, you know, ripping it up and just letting it go. You know, if you're into real slow cruising around, you know, get yourself an iron or a bloody touring bike, you know, because this thing is just, it's a beast. It really wants to just go the whole time, and that's without the stage 1 or anything. And so and that's another thing. Let's talk about that. The torque on this bike is unbelievable. You know, I know the Pat Bob's just the same, quite a lot of the Softails, but this one, because it's so light with the smaller tank, you know, the power is there, and it's unbelievable, like how it almost wants to wheelie in all sorts of gears. It is something that I've not experienced before in a motorbike, I must admit. I've got to go in here and I'll be back in a sec. So yeah guys, sorry about that. Just had to go and pay a check to somebody. So yeah, the power on this bike is unbelievable. It's got so much torque that it makes it really, really good fun. And if you ever do put a stage 1 on here, which I highly recommend, oh, it's like a freaking pit bull on steroids. It just wants to go the whole time. And that brings me on to the bike itself. I mean, it is such a fun bike. If you're looking for a bike that's nice and nimble, you know, it's not too heavy, and you want to throw it around the corners, you know, it's got a great lean angle for a Harley, and you know, you want the power in every gear, this is the bike for you. It really is. You know, it's got that kind of old school look about it, and yeah, it's got it all. And yeah, I highly recommend it. If you want to go around town in this thing, it'll do it. If you want to go on a long cruise, it'll do it. You know, it's got a few little things like the seat that need to be changed and that, but forward controls or highway pegs like I got for comfort. But this bike has it all. It's got a big enough engine, and it's got plenty of miles under the tank, and it's just so much fun. You know, Sportsters are fun, but in my opinion, this ticks more boxes. And you know, you got to get out there and try one. So yeah, I would say the visibility on this bike is great. Out of all the Harleys I've ridden, this one seems to have the best visibility out the back from stock. I can see right behind me. When people are tailgating me, I can still read their number plates. It is really, really good. I wouldn't even bother putting these mirrors the other way around. I mean, it's an aesthetic thing. If you want to do that, it's cool, man. But you don't need to see what you're doing, because you can see absolutely everything. So the speedometer is digital, as you can see, and if you have stock bars, it is very, very easy to read. It's great. You know, it's got trip A, trip B, it's got the revs, what gear you're in, how much fuel you've got left. It's even got a little fuel tacky thing there to tell you roughly where you are, and time. It's got a lot of little gadgets on this little trip button here, and yeah, it's great. It really is. I do actually prefer it to the analogs that are on the tank. If you've got a full face helmet, you can't read the analog stuff that's here on the Harleys, whereas with this thing, because it's a bit farther forward, you can actually read it with a full face helmet without having to dip your head every 5 seconds, you know. That said, if you do end up getting risers like I've got, say goodbye to your visibility on your speedometer, because it's sunny out today. I can just about make out what speed I'm doing, but you know, I'm a Harley rider. I don't need to know what speed I'm doing. Jokes aside, it's pretty bad in the sun if you do end up getting risers, guys. So that's something to think about. It's probably not going to stop you getting risers, because let's face it, they look pretty damn cool. But yeah, this is just for information, and it's stuff that you might want to know. So it is a wired throttle, not a cabled throttle, and take it from me, it is very responsive. There's no lag in it whatsoever. It is just all there straight away. And yeah, I actually really like it. Wasn't too sure on it, but actually after riding with it, it's damn good. But with that, you've got to consider any upgrades that you do. Bars are going to have the capability of having the cables running through them. One thing to think about is the suspension on this bike. Now, if you're used to Sportsters, that kind of thing, or you're used to touring bikes, it's nothing like either one of those. It's much softer than, say, a Sportster, and it's not as soft as a touring bike. I like to say it's the Goldilocks in suspension, because it's not too hard, it's not too soft, it's just right. And yeah, I think I agree with that sort of statement. It's soft enough to be comfortable. You know, you're not feeling all the vibrations of the road and the bike and everything else. And it's stiff enough that you can corner it. You know, it's not too soft to sort of feel that what's going on. It's quite responsive. You know, look is something of an opinion. Personally, I prefer it with the monoshock look, where you can't see the two springs either side of the wheels. But that's just my opinion on it. But the monoshock works perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever, and it actually works very well. But it just makes the bike feel more maneuverable, if you like, in my opinion. And the front forks, they are very responsive. They soak up plenty of the bumps. Again, they're not really stiff and they're not really soft. They're just sort of just sweet in the middle there. And yeah, it is they've done really well, I think, with this bike. It's a noticeable difference, let's put it that way. If you used to riding Sportsters or bikes of that kind of ilk, and you get on this, you instantly feel the difference. And the same if you're riding touring bikes and you get on this, you notice it's just a lot stiffer and more bumpy. But it's perfectly fine. You could upgrade it, and it's something to consider, but I don't think it's really worth the money, in my opinion. If you've got loads of money and you just feel a bit of the need for progressives or whatever, then yeah, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, you know, suspension, perfectly fine, ticks the box, whatever, good to go. Let's talk about the tyres. The tyres, well, you know, they're not that great, if I'm honest. They're reasonable. They do work. They you do stick to the road, but only really in dry conditions. When it's wet, you feel that there's no traction there. You can feel the difference. And yeah, I mean, it's something I will be upgrading once these stock tyres do wear out, because in the wet you do feel the difference big time. And yeah, I don't trust them. I really don't trust them. Let's talk about the brakes. So the brakes, be careful. You are going to notice that the brakes only work on the front. They do not work on the back. The rear brake is terrible, really. I mean, there's no other word for it. It just doesn't work. You're better off putting your feet down on the ground, sort of thing. Even at low speeds, it's there as a kind of reminder that there is a brake there, but it doesn't really do anything. I mean, I use my front brake way more than I'd like to, and you know, and the poor single disc that's on this bike is working overtime. And to be fair, the front brake is good enough for the weight of this bike. It is good enough. I've locked it up a few times with the ABS, so it definitely works, and the ABS definitely works. So I've heard it squeak along the tarmac. But yeah, the rear brake really is it's just a disappointment, really. I noticed it straight away. It was the first thing I noticed, other than the power, when I got on this bike for the first time, is that there was just, I'm used to using the rear brake quite a bit to stop in slower speeds and to control the bike, and you know, you're really, it's in a bad position. The peg is too low down, so you're pointing your toes, really pointing your toes, and it just doesn't work, you know. I'm sure there's upgrades for it. I can't be bothered. I'm used to it now, and yeah, it's absolutely fine for me. But it is something to consider if you're looking at buying one of these bikes. You know, the braking capability is average, you know, for a bike this size. So it's a gorgeous looking bike, guys. It rides so well. Cornering is amazing. The power is there where you need it. The ride position is not that comfortable, but it's comfortable if you're a short ass like myself. There's some pros and there's some cons. Have a look at some of my other videos, because there's plenty of other stuff on this bike. But this video really is just for those that are looking to buy this bike and want a sort of an honest opinion from an owner's point of view. By all means, ask me any questions you want about this bike. You know, whatever, I don't know, whatever it could be, because I'm sure I've missed out loads of stuff. But if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and give me a like, share my videos if you feel fruity enough. I'm on Instagram, and I will see you on the next installment. Street Bob Vlogger. Woo!